This is Eitan Weinstein.
And I'm Naor Menninger, and you're listening to Two Nice Jewish Boys.
This podcast is made in collaboration with the Jewish Journal. Check them out at jewishjournal.com. Also in collaboration with Arutz Sheva, IsraelNationalNews.com. And last but not least, in collaboration with Australian Jewish News, check them out at ajn.timesofisrael.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, visit 2njb.com/donate. All right, our monthly recap.
Yes.
It's time.
Yeah.
We have so much to talk about.
Right. I mean, to the few who stayed after the last monthly recap.
Which we will talk about as well.
Yeah.
Last monthly recap. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It is quite controversial.
Yeah. I want to read like some malicious...
But let's start on a positive note.
Okay.
What's the positive note? Something positive
We didn't
happened.
get corona yet.
Yes. Yet.
You got married.
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
Yes. That's
Yes.
definitely second place next to...
we didn't get corona. It's
Do show the...
Number one is we didn't get... No one at my wedding got corona.
I mean, not that we know of.
It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have heard. It was 150 of our closest friends.
It was... If someone there had corona, everybody would be fucked, essentially.
Yeah.
Because you guys mingled and danced and I
kissed
said
everybody on the mouth.
Yeah.
I made a point of it to kiss every single person on the mouth. So yeah, if someone had corona, everybody had it.
It was
It was fun. Is what
Yes.
you're supposed to say.
Yes, it was fun, but it was also scary. I mean, I said, I never dance.
Naor basically spent the entire time in the bathroom, in the stall.
Concealed.
Yeah.
No, I was just keeping
He was
safe.
he was keeping his distance.
Yeah.
Social distancing.
I mean,
Like
my
a
entire life,
responsible adult.
I never dance at weddings, right? So
Yeah.
finally it paid off.
Yeah.
I knew I will
Finally.
not die.
Finally, you being not a fun human being paid off.
For once. For once in my lifetime.
No,
but
so
yeah, it was great.
It was pretty incredible.
Before there was the China.
Yeah, China, for those of you who don't know, is a Yemenite tradition.
Some would say...
We had Amir Chetzroni on to explain what a wonderful, culturally rich experience it is. No, so it's a Yemenite tradition, or a Mizrahi tradition, but each one has its own version, and basically it's every culture has, I think, different types of this, right? But it's a ceremony for handing off the bride.
Yeah. In America, it's going to Wendy's.
Yeah, exactly. Getting the dollar menu. I don't know if that's at Wendy's or not, but yeah. But yeah, so you like dance, you do Yemenite dances, you put on ridiculous costumes. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
Sharon, your wife, she like had three different costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only got 2. Felt gypped. It's not fair.
Yeah. And there was a ceremony, and then they put this substance on your hand.
Yeah, that is
the mark.
the actual henna.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to leave a mark, but it left nothing on my hand. Didn't even stick for a day.
What does it mean?
I don't know. I'm not asking any questions.
I see.
But yeah, it was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
It definitely helped to get over all the hatred that we had flying our way.
Yeah.
From our last episode.
Yeah.
I have to say though, our wedding happened in the nick of time.
That's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
So the Sunday after, basically, this whole period was extremely stressful for us guys. We had no idea if our wedding was happening, how many people we're supposed to invite, not invite, should we cancel it, should we move it, right? We had issues with the wedding hall, who wanted to raise the price. Anyway, it was a mess. It was a mess, as Larry David doing Bernie Sanders says. It was a mess. Okay, it's a mess. But it really was, and we were stressed out as hell. And then, I think like 2 weeks before our wedding, they opened it up again to 250 people.
Yeah.
We did it. We still kept it small, 150 or smaller. so that it could be. And I think it was pretty spacious. I
Yeah.
mean, it was the hall was pretty like relatively empty. I mean, not sad empty, but it was like
Yeah.
people had their space.
Until they all
Yeah,
crumbled up in them.
on the dance floor.
Yeah.
But but the Sunday after our wedding, the government, like, they saw the spike or whatever.
The wedding was on Friday, so 2
Yeah.
days later.
2 days later, they closed it down. to
Because what
50
happened,
people.
guys, that like Eitan's wedding, you had like, I don't know, hundreds of other weddings in
Yeah.
this small time period. And that's where like we essentially went back and became a red country, which nobody wants to let people in from, essentially. And this
What
is
do you
why
mean?
we can't go to Europe, we can't go anywhere
Ah.
because we're a red state now, because we have like
Red is in danger, like
Yeah.
red zone.
red zone. No, yeah, they have this system
Yeah.
of colors, right?
Yeah.
So we have like a huge percentage of the population is infected every day and sick in total numbers. So that puts us in the red country
Yes.
with America, Brazil, a very luxurious club.
Although we have like 10 times less dead than proportionally than America. I think something like 0.00004% of our
Yeah.
population.
But lots of sick people.
Yeah. It is. But we won't talk about Corona again, will we?
We'll
done,
see.
like,
Anyway, it
17
was a
episodes.
great wedding, guys. If you weren't there, you missed,
Yeah.
and you were
I
married.
invited all you guys.
Yeah.
I saw none of you there. Okay.
Send the checks.
No, it was pretty incredible. But yeah, we got a lot of hate for that last episode, huh?
Yeah, I mean you did mainly.
Yeah. Why didn't any of it go to you? I don't know. I'm more likable than you are.
So I mean you were, not anymore.
That's it.
So here's guys.
wanna read some of them?
Here's the thing. We have if you listen and you have Apple podcasts, like you listen from an Apple device, you can go and leave a review. It's
Yeah.
very helpful. But don't leave this review, such a review like we got from J Washel DC.
Jay Washel, DC.
Appalling disinformation. I am an Israeli American who has occasionally listened to Two Nice Jewish Boys and enjoyed their wit and candor. This latest episode, however, The Lie of Systemic Racism, was nothing short of appalling. In it, the boys spread disinformation about the US protests, citing numbers that prove looters are the majority and spreading ridiculous fake news about kneeling rituals in the Black Lives Matter movement on the basis of some Russian bot-generated videos that they must have seen on YouTube. I have been living in Washington, D.C. for 20 years and have attended your 4 protests this week. I have experienced only peace, professionalism, and collective commitment in these gatherings without witnessing even a shred of unrest, looting, or rioting. Whatever peaceful protesters take a knee, whenever they take a knee, they do it all together, all colors and creeds.
Did this guy write a book?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean,
You get the point.
This guy was relatively civil about it. I mean, I don't agree with anything he said. And if you have any doubt that what's going on in the States right now is not looting and rioting, like in large part, okay, it's not just like a small bunch, as Naor said on the last monthly recap.
I said it wasn't.
Yeah. As you said, that many people were claiming that it was a small bunch. This is not a small bunch. I mean, crime has gone up in across the United States and cities. Death rates, homicide rates, violent crime,
In New York
shootings,
City, for example.
have skyrocketed. All right, 150%, 200% of where they were last year in some cities. So it's not just like the media spreading lies. That's what happens when you protest against having police, and when you call for defunding the police, and when you charge police officers who are doing their job with felony murder. Then police officers don't want to do their job, and then crime goes up. And that's what's happening across the United States. It's what we talked about on the first episode.
Let's not
about,
repeat ourselves too much.
yeah,
from last
cops about innocent people being shot in the street. That that is all a consequence of what's going on right now, and it's very real. But the most appalling thing that actually happened, the craziest blowback that we got from the episode, is that
People unsubscribed, first of all.
I don't mind people unsubscribing. That is perfectly fine. You feel the need to unsubscribe. You feel the need.
Too bad, because we have some
to
great episodes coming up this month.
You feel the need to send us to write a bad review. That is fine. You feel the need to comment on the episode.
Make a
that
voodoo
is fine.
doll of Eytan
and stab it.
molest
that is
it.
fine.
Molest it.
No, molesting is probably a bad idea. You don't want to do that. Don't let that part of you get the better of you. It's a bad part. Bury it deep down. Okay, but you could do all that. That's fine. But the craziest blowback we got was that I think it was that Friday night, or maybe I don't remember exactly when we posted the episode. Actually, I'm getting a bit confused. But a few days later, or shortly after, I get was it Friday night? I was at my parents', and I get a message from someone at work, a colleague of mine, and with a screenshot of her Facebook Messenger. And she had received a message, and we won't name names because I'm not as low and despicable as this particular person is. But this person basically sent her a message with a link to the episode, and a message, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically saying, why would you have someone who spreads, such lies and, and promotes the suppression of black people or whatever, working for you? How is that going to affect your content? How is that going to affect blah, 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 blah. Basically, this guy sending a message to a colleague of mine trying to get me fired. This colleague happens to be related to the marketing, not just related, but one of the top people in the marketing department. Mm-hmm. And that is not a mistake. This person knew that by sending this information to someone in the marketing, they would have the best chances of getting their goal, which is, me fired, because the marketing department is the one that's worried about PR and about the image of the company. Luckily, here in Israel, more people have their wits about them. And she sent me the image of her screenshot of her Facebook Messenger.
Like,
and
you
she,
saw it,
and she sent me the image and wrote lol. So and trust me, the last thing you can say is that we agree politically or we stand on the same side of the aisle. But she realizes that the idea of trying to get someone fired for expressing his perfectly legitimate views is just appalling.
Yeah, that's
fascism.
Fascism, communism.
Yeah.
But how did you feel when you saw that? You were pretty
shocked. I was surprised. I wasn't furious. I was just surprised and like disgusted. And I mean, it was, it didn't have much of an influence, so it was hard. I think what's scary is that this happens to people in the United States.
Yeah.
And they actually do get fired. I mean, there was a story of a Google employee expressing a view. There was a story in England of a woman who said women are women and men are men. And J.K. Rowling kind of backed her up when she got
Now there's a huge letter sent by all these. Have you heard about it?
Cancel culture, Noam Chomsky, and
Margaret, what's her name?
Atwood.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And J.K. Rowling.
These people who are completely on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah.
On the left, and they're just like fed up with this. Like, guys, you want to. You disagree, talk. That's all you got to do. Express your opinions. It's like the most basic principle of Western civilization.
Yeah. If you could talk to Amir Chetzroni, then anyone can talk to anyone.
Exactly. Exactly. Which I think was kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
Not that he didn't piss me off. I kind of feel like sending that episode to his employer, but I won't.
Yeah, because his employer is Erdogan, so
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, so that was just crazy.
Yeah, it
and we got a
was.
lot of that stuff though. It
Yeah.
got pretty heated, but I think it's important to note that many people
Also between us,
engaged.
it was interesting because
Really?
because you like I felt this was like the first time in 4 years when we reached like this crossroads where there's this thing and how do we go about it, right? And
The episode about systemic racism and George Floyd.
not the episode, but after the episode was released, right?
Yeah.
You really wanted to write a post. I wasn't sure if it was the right thing to do, but you were really intense about it.
Yeah.
You felt like
and you
pretty,
actually rewrote it, and it was really good. But yeah, I wanted to write it because I thought
it was really good, but you didn't use my rewrite.
No, I did.
You did? Okay.
You don't remember? We wrote the post about communism and
okay.
how in the Soviet
Yeah.
Union there was, there was basically cancel culture.
Yeah.
But it was much worse than the cancel culture in the United States. It was, anybody spoke out against the regime, you would snitch
End up
on
in
them, and
jail.
they would end up in a
My
gulag.
grandfather sat in jail because
Yeah.
he spreaded some Zionist
Propaganda.
Yeah, just a tourism pamphlet about Israel, right?
Yeah.
In Romania. So
Yeah, I felt it was important to make some kind of post, but yeah. Anyway, that's behind us.
yeah. But there is a lot of talking going on right now about what's going on Facebook and Twitter. The fact that they censor more, like they censor President Trump. And on Facebook now, there was a huge problem with Trump's posts, and then employees wanted to rebelled for the first time against Zuckerberg.
Because Zuckerberg is one of the only, I guess you could call them social media magnates that's
Moguls, even.
moguls, yeah. That's standing up for at least some semblance of standing up for
Yeah.
the
He
for
can
the
afford
First
to, right? I
Amendment.
mean, when you're that high in the chain.
Yeah, but you have these other guys like what's his name, Jack Dempsey.
Yeah, but he's nothing compared to Zuckerberg. I mean, Zuckerberg is one of the top.
You could say, the more you have, the more you have to lose, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's got a lot to lose.
Yeah.
And this is taking pretty controversial stance. I got to give it to him. I mean, I don't think he does the perfect job, but I think at least, I mean, he was I don't remember exactly when this was. I think he might have been in front of the Senate in a Senate hearing, and he said, at Facebook, we don't want to be the arbiters of truth. I think that's you can't expect Facebook to sit there and sift through every post and say, and I saw it actually the other day. I saw someone on my Facebook made a post and it was blocked. And I had to press view post, and over the post there was a warning. This post contains misinformation, and the thing is, it was completely off. It was about this KKK leader and the connection between him and Joe Biden.
Okay.
And there was, they said, the guy, I can't remember his name, was never a grand wizard of the KKK.
Okay.
And in the post, the guy never mentioned that he just mentioned that he was a KKK leader, and he was a member of the KKK and a prominent member.
But when you put a link to a post, the algorithm
I
analyzes the
guess,
and he
Yeah.
warns you from the actual link, so that when you go
there
to
was
the
no
link,
link.
there was no link.
It was a
okay.
photo and
I see.
content
I see.
written. Anyway, I think it's ridiculous to expect these platforms to kind of be the
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's ridiculous what Twitter is doing to Trump.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, it's only going to make him stronger. It's a classic example of how the left shoots itself in the leg, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I bet many people feel very good about themselves after Twitter is blocking And for the people who don't know, when Twitter are doing this sanction to President Trump, they don't allow you. Not only they don't make it easy for you to get exposed to that tweet, they disable the option to retweet the tweet.
Yeah.
Right, which is like very harmful for a Twitter account. But eventually, I think it'll have a huge kickback.
It's even ridiculous in its like even if you go with them. Let's take the premise that Trump is tweeting out pure lies.
Okay.
Let's say he tweeted Jews have the Zionists have an evil plot to take over the world.
No, they are controlling the world.
Let's say he said the Zionists are controlling the world.
Yes.
Okay. And we need to battle this. Like, do you want to block that from people? Do you want people not to see that?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Why would you want people not to see evil?
Yeah. It's
Like-
very paternalistic approach. And
ridiculous.
it undermines the users, I feel. It undermines us.
It underestimates also.
Yeah.
It says, you
You stay there,
Yeah.
little one.
You don't know what's good for you. We will show you the correct material.
Yeah.
Right? Now, of course, private companies can do what they want, right?
Yeah.
They really can. And I'm all for
Yeah.
Twitter retaining the right to censor the shit out of whoever they want to.
Yes.
They want to cover up Trump's tweets. They want to allow, I don't know, Louis Farrakhan to tweet freely. Whatever.
Yeah.
The government should not step in, and anybody who says that the government should now force Twitter, it's just equally bad.
Right.
Private
no, but the
companies-
government. But Trump's move was that they gave protection, legal protection. There was this
Yeah.
law that and now he revokes this legal protection.
Yeah.
So I think it's a legitimate move because it's not intervention of the government.
It's politics. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't agree that I think that if the legal protection provided was there to remedy a bad situation to begin with, it should have stayed there. And I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but I know that Trump did make there was some effort to basically claim that these platforms are not like normal products, right? They're not normal commodities. There's something else that needs to be regulated, and that's bullshit.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want. It's like
Yeah.
a newspaper. They can print whatever they want, and that's fine. But they deserve to be seen for as the ridiculous platforms that they are.
Did you hear about the Tahini crisis here in Israel?
Yes.
Want to tell our audience about it?
I'm not sure I know enough about. I know that basically an employee there stood up for the LGBTQ community.
I don't think it's
right?
an employee. From what I understand, the whole company announced it's an Arab company for Tahini here in Israel.
Yeah.
With Arab owners, and they decided they're going to donate some of the revenue to an NGO that takes care and helps LGBTQ people from the Arab community here in Israel.
Yeah.
Which is
And
great.
the response was basically like
the Arab world here, like the Arab community here, was shaken by that.
no, so
Essentially.
every store owner, basically every Arab store owners, not every, but many Arab store owners selling this tahini
El
posted
Erez.
videos.
Tahini.
Yeah, El Erez, El Arez, Al Erez. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it,
Sounded pretty, yeah.
but posted videos of them walking up to the tahini shelf and taking it off the shelf, sometimes
Yeah.
throwing it into the trash, sometimes putting it into a basket and saying, we're going to give this back to the supplier. We're not
Right.
selling this.
Right.
Which is just,
And
despicable.
and the politicians from the Arab Joint List in the Knesset, many of them condemned.
All but one, right?
Well, yeah, more or less condemned this move, condemned this company for daring, to support
to
this.
try and westernize.
No, to support this abomination, as they see it,
Yeah.
of the gay community. And
They basically see it as a destruction of Arab culture and Arab values and
like Palestinian for that
Yeah.
matter. Palestinian values and Muslim values, of course. And it's a beautiful story because it's so easy to forget. Many people here voted. Many gay people voted for the Arab Joint List
yeah,
in Israel.
yeah.
So, I mean, what's more to be said, right?
I mean, yeah, and I think that many of the people in the United States and around the world who probably support the quote unquote Palestinian cause.
Yeah. That's a part of the Palestinian cause.
Wouldn't want to live a day inside Palestine. Inside, and not because they're being barraged with Israeli missiles or anything,
Right.
or because you would be, I don't know, unlawfully stopped by an Israeli
Because you
soldier.
like to wear dresses
But,
sometimes.
yeah,
And
and you would, be abused either verbally or very likely also physically.
yeah.
It's not a free society. It's not a free culture.
No, they're they're very far off when it
Yeah.
comes to they're very religious, they're very conservative, and these are the people that we're expected to live with by people like Peter Beinhardt.
Yes.
What a segue. Because Peter Beinhardt, I admit I didn't know who he is really. I understand he's very big in the Jewish community in America, right?
Yeah.
He wrote a column for the New York Times saying that he does not support the Jewish state anymore, and instead he now supports one state from the river to the sea, which will have essentially an Arab majority, right? A Jewish minority, and it'll be a utopian democratic state
Like, together with Gaza.
together with Gaza, together with the territories.
Wow, great plan.
And yeah, we
I suggest
will
we-
have all the rights.
I suggest Peter Beinhardt be the prime minister of that state.
Yeah, essentially his claim is that since we're going to annex parts of Judea and Samaria, that nullifies the concept of two states, because two states, it's similar to what we had Urizaki here on the show, and he said the same thing, essentially that annexation nullifies two states, and since there is no future for two states, then he must change his views, and now he supports one state.
Yeah. Thousands of rockets being launched from Gaza and terrorist attacks.
Oh, come on, it's
That
irrelevant.
doesn't.
It's irrelevant because once we are all in one state, they won't need rockets.
No, I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm saying that doesn't nullify the two states. Thousands of rockets and terrorist attacks and a culture that praises mujahideen and shahidim and
Mujahideen.
and shahidim and that's aside from the point, right?
Yeah,
but
it's sad. But it goes to show it's a very. I think it shows where the Jewish left wing, democratic branch in America is going, right? The direction they're going towards, of essentially anti-Zionism, and moreover the notion that it's perfectly fine if we're all dead.
Yeah. I think they're just totally removed from what's actually going on. And I'm not sure that they're moving towards anti-Zionism. Like, I wonder if they were ever really pro-Israel. I mean, except for, I'm not saying that there is no, and this always gets conflated, these two statements, right? That when you speak in generalizations, you're not talking about every single person. You're talking about a group of people. So naturally, there are exceptions. But I'm saying the large majority of Jewish Americans are, Democrats, left-leaning. And I'm not sure how many of them really are pro-Israel, I mean, I have friends who are left-leaning in the States, who are liberals, who are Democrats, who served with me in the Army here. So, I'm not talking about those types, but I'm talking about the majority of left-leaning American Jews. I'm not sure. I don't see how they are pro-Israel.
What do you mean?
I don't understand you would expect, a minimum level of support, but just the idea that Israel is somehow an apartheid state, somehow oppressing a people. We are occupying, but oppressing is like the next level. So this image of Israel as a powerful bully,
Diabolic.
yes, I mean, it doesn't even have to go that far, but just this idea that Israel is,
Sadistic.
somehow corrupt, like,
Morally.
is, to me, seems so
Far-fetched.
far removed from reality, and it makes me question how pro-Israel these people actually are. I know that they're always saying, of course, the Jewish people need a home, and we need a state, and we need it, but,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's up next?
Corona.
Before Corona, we're fucked. No, before that, so I sat with a friend this week. A surreal experience, right? So it's an acquaintance, friend, whatever, right? I didn't see him for a year.
Yeah.
But he's a very serious guy. Okay, he owns like businesses and restaurants and coffee shops, and we're sitting catching up. And then he tells me, Naor, during Corona, my wife was home. She was bored, and she started browsing through Facebook, and she stumbled upon posts about 5G and and vaccines and the Corona. And I don't know. What do you think? Did you know, he says to me, that apparently Bill Gates came up with the Corona, and he already has the vaccine. He just waits until September to release it.
Okay.
And in that vaccine, they're going to put some microchips that will follow us all using the 5G networks. And I'm like, what? It hits you without a warning. Did you ever meet someone who?
Yeah, I have a friend. Again, I won't name names. Who it was actually two people that I was talking to, and they were telling me about how 9/11 was an inside job planned by George Bush's administration.
Right, but that's a vintage theory.
Yeah.
What about the 5G?
5G, I've heard of in passing. I was like, no, thank you.
Well, imagine the shock to actually.
But the thing is, I feel like I don't know enough about 5G to like be appalled by it. You know what I mean? And be like, what? I would just be like, what's 5G?
These people think that there's a shadow government of strong people, including Bibi, Trump, Bill Gates. They govern the world, and they want to use 5G to surveillance to
surveil the people.
Survey the people, and they're gonna put in the vaccine mini chips and these.
And Corona's connected.
Yes, it's all connected. You see, in the vaccine you'll have these microcomputers.
It's amazing that they found this out without any evidence. Like. That's incredible.
Right. And the thing is, I try to explain to this friend, like, there is a problem with 5G, but it's not that the problem with 5G is that China is essentially goes and proposes very cheap prices to states to install the 5G networks, and they apparently do use it. They use Huawei, the company.
Surveil.
They use it probably to survey, and now a huge deal between the UK and China and Huawei was canceled because of the sanctions of the US, because of that reason,
Yeah.
right? But
We good?
yeah, we might. Yeah, I need to. Yeah, we're good. Right.
So there is. So China is trying to spy on.
Yeah, I mean
everybody.
there.
So
Yes,
so
but from
you mean
here,
like fascist communist 1.2 billion person state is trying to spy on the whole
of
world?
course,
Okay.
of course they do.
No, obviously.
But from here to take it to Corona and the vaccine and Bill Gates, like I tried to say to him, look,
hell is
why
he
would Bill
connected?
Gates, like this guy, could just go retire, buy an island, and don't give 0 fucks about anything. Instead, he devotes his life to try and help us all.
He wants to
and-
control the world, man. Because
Yeah.
those rich bastards, they're just scheming.
Anyway, it was an interesting
And
experience.
so he like fully believes it. That's the interesting part to me.
I mean, he told me
Is
about
that
his
you know
wife.
this guy.
About his wife who fully believes it, and she's like and he like it got to him. It felt like he wasn't 100% there, but he was halfway there.
Okay.
You know?
Wow. And he's successful.
Yeah.
Just goes to show.
Very intelligent guy.
Yeah.
Very nice. I mean,
Wow.
yeah.
All
What a
right.
thing. What an experience. Yeah. Yeah, so
So
what
is
else?
that what you mean by Corona? We're fucked.
No, the Corona. Just I want to update our listeners that here in
Yeah.
Israel the situation is pretty bad. We get like 1,200 sick a day, and it rises. The severe cases went up like hundreds of % in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
What do you think the solution is?
I think they should close places that are prone to, as it shows in the world, to high infecting possibility.
Like?
Gyms, for example, wedding halls, inner spaces of bars,
Mm-hmm.
inner spaces of restaurants, classrooms. Yeah, I don't think we have a choice, really.
So, but pick and choose. So, like.
Yeah, pick and choose.
Wow.
Make some hard choices.
It's not hard. It's
Um,
like it's anti-liberal. That's the problem. Is that you see that's unheard of in the United States?
Yeah.
For example, Like,
and
you
look,
can't-
then you see the result.
Yeah.
Florida hit 15,000 cases yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Florida, 15,000 cases. And, there was just an article in The Guardian. The Brits, they did this research, this study about patients who recovered. Joe Rogan talked about it from COVID. They suffered very serious mental diseases, including hallucinations and
Yeah,
all.
but they're obviously highlighting the worst of the worst.
Yeah, but you
Okay.
have so many long-term side effects
Yeah.
that are
For-
barely.
For a small percentage.
No, Israeli studies showed that 50% of the sick. I sent it to you.
50% of the
Recovered from all across the board suffer from long-term side effects like
that's
breathing.
Such a general long-term side effect.
No, like serious side effects like breathing problems, pain, mental issues, depression.
Again, I don't know what's on that list of long-term side effects and long-term serious side effects.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's on that list, but the vast majority of people get this thing and get over it.
No, that's not true. Not the vast
it is.
majority. No.
It is. It is.
No.
You have, if you are under 70, you have a tiny, tiny, tiny chance of dying. Tiny.
Not that tiny.
If you relate it to the flu, maybe it's,
If you're related to
if
any
it-
other
it-
disease,
it's a multiple of it, but it's still tiny, a tiny chance.
yeah. But the more
if you're
people
under
get
70.
it, then this tiny chance adds up to quite a lot of people, right? Like,
What
if
do you
the
mean?
tiny, what is the tiny chance, right? Is it 1%? Is it
No.
f-
If you're
zero
under
po-
70,
Yeah.
if you're under, first of all, if you're under 50, like you have like practically, sorry, if you're under 30, you have practically 0% chance of dying.
That's
Zero.
also not true.
Zero.
No,
How many?
no, it's not
Okay.
true, man. It's
So
not.
we can
it's
pull
not
up
zero.
the numbers.
It's not zero.
You have, if you're under 30, you have basically no chance of dying. You can look up the numbers. You have basically no chance of dying if you're under 30.
But there's
Even if you're
long-term,
under
there's
40.
long-term. We had Noam Schuster here on the show, and she
Yeah.
just gave an interview, and she told she still has side effects.
Yeah, she still has. I'm sure she still. I'm not saying COVID is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a pleasant thing, and I'm not saying it's an easy thing. But it is a thing. I mean, it's a disease, and the question is, I mean, to me, it seems like things are getting better. I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
look at America, man. It's
deaths are
horrific.
dropping. Deaths are dropping. More people are getting sick, and meaning by like 2, 3, 4 times the amount. If you look at certain periods, and the number of dead are actually going
Yes,
down.
but so many died.
No,
in
so
America.
many did die, yes, but I'm saying things are
And so many
getting-
will.
So
no,
many
I
will
said
things
die.
are getting better, and so many will die necessarily. Many will. It'll be a rough year, 2 years. I don't know. Yeah, many people will die of COVID. Many people have died of COVID. And it's not an easy thing, and it's not a
Yeah.
good thing. But I feel like that goes without saying. And this is the problem and we've talked about this in the discussion around COVID, is that if you think that there's anything on the other side of the scale, then you are completely have absolutely zero care for human life. No, I don't. I think human life is important, but I think that
You don't think it's the
needs-
most important thing, though. We talked about it the other day. You said that values such as freedom
Yes.
are more important than life.
I mean,
So you might as well die
it's a-
free,
It's a
but-
fact, because I mean, look, many people have died for freedom and died for the kind of environment that we live in.
Yeah.
So to say that freedom is not important,
They
is
chose
to say
to.
that they died in vain.
Many of them chose to die from.
Yeah, and I think they made an
But
honorable,
here,
heroic choice.
No one asks you, right?
No one asks you when they close down your business, or they lock you in your home.
But if you leave all the businesses open, and
Each person will assess their risks and manage their risks. And I don't see how this is different than any other situation. The only claim that comes up that maybe makes some
you
semblance
can
of a
infect
sense,
hundreds of people.
no, is that we'll overwhelm the healthcare system.
Yeah.
But I don't see how that then leads to the fact that we have the right to take people's personal freedoms away. People should assess their risk. People should look and say, and that's exactly what's happening, by the way, which is why deaths are going down. The older population, hold on, the older population are staying home. I mean, this is what I think. This is what I've been hearing and listening and reading, that the older population are staying home. More younger people right now in this quote unquote second wave, some people say it's still the first wave, are getting COVID. So the numbers of sick are rising, but the number of severe cases and the number of people on
The
respiratory
number of severe cases in Israel
Yes.
is the same.
the same. Okay,
It's
but
the same.
while the number of sick are getting
No,
higher.
the
Percentage?
percentage is the same.
I'm not sure.
It's
I
the
heard
same.
there's 200 cases right now of people that are severe.
Yeah, but they took it by
There's
age
thousands
groups.
that are sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The severe cases are more or less the same. But let me ask you this:
Yeah.
you took a chance in doing the wedding, right?
Yeah.
So, but there was a chance, right? Because it happened in
There was
other
a
weddings.
risk.
There was a risk,
Yeah.
and you chose to take it.
Yes.
But there was a possible scenario in which, like, all the participants of your wedding would
Get COVID.
get COVID and some would die. How would you feel if that were what?
Yeah, okay.
You had elderly people there.
Yes, I
Yeah.
had elderly people there. I had I don't know, maybe 20 elderly people.
Okay.
My
Some could die.
grandmother was one of them who
Some could die.
would have
So
killed
if-
me if I didn't do my wedding.
N-
And she assessed her
just goes-
risks and made a decision.
Yeah, but how would you feel if that were to happen?
I would feel awful if someone
So you would
close to
feel
me died.
no. If
Would I
like-
feel any responsibility?
Yeah, if like
I would.
80%
I
of the
would
participants
try
would get
as
COVID.
hard as I can not to feel any responsibility because I think that that's the right way to look at it. To think that like and to try and put the blame on some. I mean, that's just
no,
like
not to blame. You
it's-
said responsibility.
It's a
You said we
malevolent
all
thing
take-
to say that someone who has a party or who has a gathering or whatever, and someone comes to that gathering and gets COVID, that person is responsible for their death. Because I'll tell you why
I
that's
didn't
problematic.
say you would be responsible.
Okay,
but
why
you would
not?
still feel very, very
But are you saying I
bad.
should feel bad?
yes.
Okay, so then you're saying that I am responsible.
I mean, I don't know who's responsible, but you would feel bad. Now,
But,
in the
I'm-
second
no,
scenario,
I'm asking you
the
if
government
I
tells
should
you
feel responsible. No, because this is an important point. If I should, and I'm not going to take any offense to it. I just strongly disagree. I don't think I should feel responsible because if I should feel responsible, then I should be responsible.
Right.
And if I should be responsible, then you could argue that people there should be legal implications. So if I am if I staged an event and someone died of COVID, maybe I should be charged with second-degree murder.
I don't know. Look, I think you should. Someone needs to be. There's the wedding, and there's the fact that the rules, the recommended rules, were breached during the wedding, right? When people were dancing together, right? Those are two different things. So you can do a wedding, but then you choose to do the dancing part, right? And that is your choice
Yeah.
as a curator of the event. So
Okay.
that maybe puts some
Okay,
responsibility
First of all, were
on
there
you.
any guidelines against dancing?
Yes.
Well, I wasn't aware of them. And even if they
So
are,
whose responsibility is that?
no, even if there are guidelines, again, rules are exactly what we were just talking about. What should be the rules? They should be based on what's right?
Yeah. Well,
Ideally, the law should be approximately around what we think the values should be. So should there be a rule whether or not people can dance at a wedding? I think that's ridiculous.
okay, but you see what happened? That so many people in Israel got sick because of those weddings.
No,
Yes,
no,
yes,
no. There was
yes,
one
yes,
wedding
yes,
in
yes,
Ofakim
yes,
that
yes.
like
In
8 people got it, and there were 400 people there. By the way, they broke the rule of 200, 250, and like I don't know. I think not 8, maybe no more than 20 people at that wedding got it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 13.
I don't think restaurants will have, like, all these businesses will be sustainable
Yeah,
in a country like Florida or
businesses
Texas.
are sustainable. Businesses, I mean, the economy
so
isn't
they'll
like,
pay the price
the economy
either way.
in the States is doing no worse off than it is here. If anything, it's better. Unemployment here is at 21%. In the States, I think it's around 15.
Yeah, but like, we're only in the beginning of this, and in the long term,
We're doing awful for the beginning.
okay, but
Economically.
my point is that businesses, like, will not be able, like, to function from a certain point where like, from a certain, like, take the gyms, for example. Okay, now we
Yeah.
get 1,200 sick a day, but if we get to 50,000 sick a day, right, people will just stop going to the gym anyway, and
But
they'll-
it comes down
But-
to
and then-
personal
but
responsibility.
then you'll have the gyms, the gym will be shut down.
Yeah.
Gesundheit. The gyms will be shut down, right? They'll go bankrupt because so many people are sick and people are afraid. And the entire country is sick and so many people died.
It
So
comes
eventually, you get the same result.
Yes. Well, no,
The question is
eventually,
if
according
how
to
many people
Naor's
died.
prediction of the
Yes.
future,
Which
And
is accurate
forgive-
because I see the
exactly,
future.
Exactly. So forgive me if I don't credit you with the ability to prophesize. I don't know if what you're predicting is actually what's going to happen. And I think that in the end, it comes down to personal responsibility, and it is not the place of the state to come and take responsibility for people. And this is why I'm so surprised, I guess, why people like you and other conservatives I know are on the other side of this. I guess, I don't not get it, because I think that this really puts our ideals and our ideas and our values to the test. But so I get it, but I don't think there's anything different here. In the end, it comes down to personal responsibility. And if we can't take it as individuals, it is no place for the state to, because you could say that on any level. That's always the argument. This is the awful future that awaits us if the state doesn't step in now and save us from it. And I think that isn't necessarily the right way to look at it. By the way, one of the things that I kind of started thinking about yesterday was in Israel, guys, we had a protest this weekend in Kikar Rabin.
Yeah.
In Tel Aviv.
Well, the freelancers protest.
Freelancers, which of course was not political at all.
I gotta hook up the computer to the charger.
It was not political at all, right? It was zero politics. The news made it it was very important for them to make note of the fact that this was absolutely not political. Which is, you always know that when the news tells you it's not political, that it's definitely political. But there was a protest of the freelancers to demand from the country payments. And I started thinking, and I thought, there's only two options here. This whole idea of like the government needs to pay the freelancers or to pay anybody because of this COVID situation. It doesn't make sense to me. Really, it's just, the way I see it, it's socialism in disguise. Because either you're for opening the markets, right? Yeah. And saying, let us make our own decisions, right? Because the argument is the government came and forced us. There's this paradox. The argument is the government came in and forced us to close our businesses, so they need to basically pay us, damages.
For how long, though?
Right? No, they need to pay us damages because they forced. If it wasn't for them, we could continue the business.
Yeah.
So
that's a good argument.
It's not a good argument.
Why?
Because you should just demand for the markets to be opened. And if you don't think that the markets should be open because COVID is this awful pandemic that forces the government to take these drastic measures, then they're not responsible. COVID is responsible, right? And then you can't demand that the government take responsibility for COVID.
No, they do demand to open the market.
So I'm saying no.
Yes.
Many of them demand payments. Many of them are saying, we want what was promised to us. You promised us money, give us money.
Yeah. But most of them really want to work.
That's what the head of the protest, the head of the Shulmanim was saying at the protest.
Okay.
He was being interviewed and he was saying, we deserve to get at the very least what we were promised by the state. We demand to get our payments, basically. Basically for the government to come in with aid packages and pay freelancers and independents, as they're called here in Israel. But the idea that the government should pay them is, in my eyes, ridiculous, because the idea stems from this claim that the government is responsible for closing down the markets. They took a drastic measure. They need to pay for it. But if they took the drastic measure because, I don't see how you can be in the middle unless you're a socialist. I don't see how you can be in the middle claiming that the government should take responsibility and pay. Either the government isn't responsible because COVID forced them into this situation, and then just like in any contract, you have a force majeure, right? Which says that there's no culpability if it's out of our hands, basically.
Yeah.
Then the government shouldn't be responsible. And if the government is responsible because they took drastic measures to close down the market, then demand for the market to be opened, not to get payments from the government.
Right. Or demand to stop paying so much to the government. And then you would need their help in case of closure. But let me ask you this.
But you should say bye to the money you pay to the government anyway.
Why should the country, if there's a terrorist group who are causing havoc in coffee shops in Tel Aviv, why should the government try and stop these terrorist activities? Why shouldn't?
Because that's the job of the government.
Says who?
I mean, it says
No, but
the
essentially you
the
could say,
doctrine of,
listen, if there's a terrorist group, right?
yeah.
We can all assess our risk. We can avoid certain places, popular.
No, come on. The government has a monopoly on force.
Yes.
Okay, on violence. That's the place of the government.
Mhm.
I think, who was it? Max Webb who said that. But the government basically has a monopoly on force. They are, when you want to live in a society of people being able to interact with each other freely, right, and on the basis of some rule, then what we do is we outsource power, which is how we resolve conflicts in anarchy, right? If I have a
Yes.
problem with you, and you are entrenched in your position and I'm entrenched in my position, and there's no other force to settle it, then the only way we can hash out our problems is I will try to defeat you
But
physically.
the main reason
right?
for that is
so
to protect
wait,
life.
Hold on, let me just complete so you can understand.
Okay.
Yeah. So the only way we can get past that is for me to overcome you physically, or for you to overcome me physically. So what happens in a democratic, free society is we outsource that power to the government. We say, you have power, okay, but we vote you in. We gave you the power.
But they also have the power to protect us from outside enemies.
Outside enemies,
such
yes.
as terror groups,
And
armies.
diseases. No. So a disease is
What's
not
the
a
difference?
terrorist group.
What's the difference? What's the difference?
Because how do you fight?
It's the ends to the same means, right?
No,
In the
it's
end,
not.
you die.
No, it's not. It's not an ends to the same means. The disease. How do you defeat a disease? With science and with innovation
And
right?
behavior.
And with behavior, sure.
Yes.
Okay. You defeat the disease by each person being an individual, right? You defeat outside threats by being a united
apparently not,
front.
because in Germany, that's not how they defeated it. They defeated it by taking measures, governmental
First of all,
level.
nobody's over the disease yet.
Yeah, but some countries
and second
are.
of all, I don't think the measure of defeating it is, again, I don't think it is how many lives were lost. I think that's a wrong way to tally it up. And I know that that's controversial.
So maybe it's not the same. So maybe that applies to other aspects like wars and terror organizations and I don't know what else.
Hundreds of thousands of Americans died in wars to protect. So, I mean, if the idea is how many...
Why? Maybe it was in vain.
Okay, maybe it was.
Why did they...
600,000 Americans died in the Civil War.
Why not do nothing?
Was ending slavery in vain? I don't think so.
Why not do nothing and let
So again, I don't think so. I think that the idea is...
You just choose to put the line before a virus and after terror organizations.
No, but you don't see any other distinction between a virus and terrorist organizations. One is
there
a
are
human,
distinction.
and one is a virus.
That's an anecdotal difference.
It's anecdotal. Okay, so I don't think it is. I think that it's wrong to tally it up by human loss. I don't think that these people, the people who died to protect the homeland, right, died in vain. And I think the same holds true, right? I mean, it's not like, I'm not saying that people who died from corona died to protect us or something like that. But we live in a certain way and we protect our values, and that's worth it, I think. I hope.
Guys, thanks for listening.
Okay.
Congratulations for getting married, Eytan.
Thank you.
Feel a different man?
No,
No.
not at all.
Same problems, same...
Yeah. Mo problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, before we go, we are collaborating with the Jewish Journal. Check them out at jewishjournal.com and subscribe to the podcast they provide, like Shmuel Rosner's podcast, David Suissa's podcast, and check out their website and Facebook and Instagram. Highly recommended.
Yes, and do
Moreover-
the same for Arutz Sheva. Arutz Sheva at israelnationalnews.com. Check them out. They have a great website, great content in English about Israel and about the world. israelnationalnews.com. They're also on Facebook. Arutz Sheva.
Also-
Arutz 7.
Yes,
Sheva is 7.
Also, ajn.israelnational.timesofisrael.com. wine, it's the
ajn.timesofisrael.com. Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
do it.
Naor is drinking wine, which is very unusual. So he's drunk podcasting right now.
Yeah.
Unadvisable. Check them out, guys. ajn.timesofisrael.com. Australian Jewish news, great source for Jewish news and news from all around the world.
We accept donations.
ajn.timesofisrael.com.
We
Yes.
accept donations.
Yes, we do this on our free time, guys. So if you want to help us out,
To njb.com/donate.
yeah.
And that is it.
Thank you guys for watching.
We have some great episodes coming up this month.
Yes, definitely. We have we just interviewed Shai Rivol of Robin Food. He has an initiative. He had an initiative of
Stopping the waste of food.
taking basically wasted food and cooking delicious meals.
Yeah.
So tune into that.
The CEO of Taglit,
CEO of
Gidi
Taglit.
Malk,
Yes.
and a guy who was a communist, and he turned into a conservative.
So that's going to be a fun episode.
Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.